Welcome, I'm Kinetic Symphony. This is Dave. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the supernatural. Case file number 1770, written by AwwkwardHuggs. Bridge to Sorrow, Hope for Tomorrow. A few years ago, my dad's cancer spread to his bones, and he was made palliative at home. It was a tough time, but my sister and I took comfort knowing that we would take care of his every need, especially since I'm a nurse and she works in admin in a hospital. We understood what we would go through. I was heartbroken, but not anxious that our time with him was coming to an end. Then nightmares start. Every single night for 5 weeks, I dream that I drive over a bridge on the highway that takes me to my mom's house. Every dream, every night, I can never make it to her house because I crash. I never die, but I'm falling in my car, hit the ground, and then go on with life, in the dream. I don't have anxiety when I wake up. I just wonder why I keep dreaming the exact same scenario every single night. Finally connecting it to just feeling a sense of being out of control of my dad's fate. After 5 weeks of these dreams, one night, I feel something else is wrong, but I just can't figure it out. Then I got a call that my mom was in the hospital, waiting for helicopter transport to a cardiac surgery hospital. She's having a massive heart attack. My nurse brain tells me that everything will be okay since a chopper is on its way to get her. I called the hospital for an update since it was prime COVID time and visitors were not allowed in. No answer on the phone in the ER. I rationalize this as a shift change and it's busy. 30 minutes later, I got the call. She passed away. They were doing CPR on her when I called the first time. The helicopter had just landed. She was being transferred to the stretcher to go to the helipad when she crashed. She never liked helicopters. So now mom has passed away and dad is still palliative. They had been divorced for over 30 years, but remain good friends. The night she passed away, I didn't have the car crash dream and never did again. 3 weeks later, and we have our dad in hospice. I asked the staff if they could shave his face during his daily wash. He was obsessed with not having an unkempt appearance, even in his weakest time. He said he had to be presentable when he met his maker. Not even 1 minute after they cleaned him up and gave him a shave, he took his last breath. A wave of relief came over me that I have never felt before. After both their passings, I feel as though the dreams were telling me that I couldn't get to my mother because she would no longer be there. She would instead be waiting for my dad, wherever the afterlife would take them. And I would crash in the sense that life was really difficult for me for some time. But I'm doing quite well now. Case notes for file 1770, Bridge to Sorrow, Hope for Tomorrow. Man, reading this story just left me crushed. Losing both your parents in this way, that's just messed up beyond words, really. It makes you almost angry at the idea of someone managing this simulation, or if there's a god or something. Like, there's so much suffering in this way, and it's just random and chaotic. It doesn't feel right, unless we chose it, and that's a possibility. And of course, with quantum immortality, it lessens the blow because they're still alive in a different universe. But still, damn. But I would agree to an extent that your dreams were it's your subconscious picking up on details and facts about life and trying to extrapolate for them. It's not always future prediction. It's trying to anticipate potential futures. And that's what our minds do naturally. We always are abstracting ideas and projecting into the future what could possibly happen to prepare ourselves for if it does happen. Which is also why we tend to focus on negatives, because if we focus on positives, well, those are rarely going to kill us, but we evolved to focus on negatives because those negative outcomes and negative possibilities are much more of a threat to us and to the tribe. So that's why we focus on them so much, and why positive events, compliments, don't affect us nearly as much as negative events or insults. But the silver lining for this story is indeed at the end, with how your father passed away. He couldn't go into the afterlife or wherever we go when we die. He couldn't move on until his appearance was as it should be. He was holding on just for that. It's kind of amazing, actually. And he knew that his child would realize it at some point. You did good. Case file number 1771, written by Sophia141. Asthma, Plea, and Dream Telepathy. This is one of the cooler things that have happened to me recently. This happened in July. I had hung out with my friend over the weekend, and her mom was panicking that she needed to find someone to watch her younger son on Monday, because she had to leave to visit her mom in hospice at the last minute, and my friend had work. Since I work remotely, I offered to watch him. So that Monday rolls around. My friend lives in central Jersey, and I live in Pennsylvania. Since I don't own a car, I had to get up really early to call a Lyft to the train station, then make the early train so I could make it to their house before my friend left for work. So I run downstairs because my Lyft had arrived, and my boyfriend is sleeping on the couch, knocked out playing Call of Duty or something. My boyfriend starts having some sort of asthma attack, so he starts panicking because he can't find his inhaler, which is typically on him at all times. And I'm panicking because my boyfriend is having an asthma attack, but also my Lyft was there and I needed to take that train. So I search for the inhaler everywhere, and whenever I'm under pressure I talk to myself. I might have said some type of prayer to Saint Anthony, or just repeated something along the lines of, "Where the frick is this inhaler?" But regardless, I eventually found it. My boyfriend survived, and I made my train, all was well. Now here's the trippy part. A couple hours later, I got a text from my brother. He lives in California, so there's a 3-hour time difference. He was just waking up. This is how the conversation went. "Brother, I had a dream you were asking me for an inhaler, so I have to ask if you feel okay." Me: "That's so weird. I was looking for Sam's inhaler this morning. He lost it." "That's insane. You heard me in the 4th dimension. We were trying to go somewhere in the dream, and you were like, 'I can't go unless I have an inhaler?'" "Yeah. I did take some mushrooms while I ran the 50K, so maybe I was chilling in that realm a little bit." This blew my mind. My family and I have always had the most insane dreams. We all talk in our sleep, lucid dream, etc. I don't think we've ever really texted one another about being in each other's dreams, though. It's so cool we caught this. Dreams fascinate me. Case answer file 1771. Asthma, Plea, and Dream Telepathy. The start of the story almost sounds like a cartoon event where, you're scrambling around trying to find this inhaler and your boyfriend's just there and suffering, just like, writhing around, and you have to go because it's like this chaotic event that is almost comical because no one died or anything. When we're connected in dreams or even in real life in the conscious world, between people we love, I like to think of it as a spiritual Wi-Fi. Obviously, we can't see the signals that connect us in the digital realm, unless you're using an Ethernet cord, but just in general, most people use Wi-Fi, but it's just waves from cell towers or satellites, harnessing the mechanics of the universe to communicate. Maybe there's ways we don't realize are out there, and our minds are snapping to between each other, tethering like Bluetooth to a phone, just the range is much greater, and that's how we communicate. It's all subconscious, not at a conscious layer. It's on an app you can open in your mind, and now you're directly connected, interfacing in that sense, but it does exist. We just don't know how yet, and that's okay. If you went back 300 years and showed people a phone and somehow it had a cell tower as well, to show that it was working, well, they would have no idea how the hell you're doing that, because they didn't understand radio waves yet, or any sort of wave. So again, it's probably a very real, scientifically testable system, or mechanic, or law of the universe that we just haven't discovered yet. And I think that's cool. That's exciting to me. More discoveries to be made. Not magic in the sense, the difference between magic and science, which is a very critical point, is just understanding. Well, there's one difference. If it's real magic, then there's no actual fundamental root to it. That is to say, if magic is orderly and structured, and you can explain it, and it's repeatable, then it's just science that we don't understand yet. At the fundamental level, you could say that magnetism is magic, because we can't actually explain exactly why the force of magnetism exists. It just does. At the fundamental level, there is just because that's how it works. And that's the same thing for magic, in magical universes. As long as it's orderly and structured, you can just label it as science. It's just you don't understand exactly how it works at the fundamental level yet. But we'll get there, eventually. It might take centuries or millennia, who knows. As the great Mulder always said, the truth is out there. Now time for the quote of the day. Normal is getting dressed in clothes that you buy for work and driving through traffic in a car that you are still paying for. In order to get to the job, you need to pay for the clothes and the car, and the house you leave vacant all day so you can afford to live in it. Ellen Goodman. Yeah, I think George Carlin had a bit about this too, but it's basically, don't focus too much on the material world because you're a slave to it otherwise. You spend your entire life working so hard just to go back home for a few hours and then go back and do it all over again. If you don't enjoy it, it's not a great life. And I mean, I get it, it's hard to shift out of that when society is structured around it. But you can do it. You can buy land, build a small home, try to just, over time, have that little slice. That is minimalism. And you can still be connected to the world now because of Starlink and satellites and solar panels and generators and batteries and propane and wood fire and all that. You can live a great life without being dependent on anyone else or dependent on a job that you hate. So you can be off grid and still go to work, but then you just have this option not to be there. You're not doing it just because you're supposed to. It's okay to think outside of the box, especially if the box inside is rather boring or depressing. Yeah. Leave the depressing box. Find a better one. Like the video, subscribe, hit the ball. Hit the ball. Okay. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.